Welcome back to the Illuminated Path. This is episode 57. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about money mindset. This is one that I've done a few live coaching episodes on. I mean, it comes up so often.
Hmm.
So there's a lot that we can get into today, but there's probably even more we could get into. We'll see if we want to do a version 2 at some point. But
Yeah, I think money is such a fascinating topic because personally, I had a terrible relationship with money most of my adult life. And then recently, trading really challenged that.
yeah.
And even starting businesses challenged that. But it's also just such a huge topic because manifestation comes into play throughout this entire process,
hmm
which was our most popular episode ever. But we still need to do like a part two. But I think before we do that, I think it's good for us to talk about money first.
Yeah, specifically
Yeah.
money. Not much to do on chatter because we are pre-recording. Because of our wedding.
Yep.
You're here for the countdown. We are 16 days away when this episode drops.
Yeah. We're getting there. Um, so let's get started. I think the first thing to understand is right. So we talk about manifestation and your beliefs, your feelings, your thoughts, all of these things are creating your life. And we talked about energetic frequencies in that episode and how your brain attracts frequencies, and long story short, the things that you think you bring into your life. And when it comes to money, a lot of people have scarcity. And that's not, I mean, through no fault of their own. We are conditioned and programmed to live in fear, think opportunity and money is scarce and it's hard to come by. But if you can rewrite that script, you can change a lot about your life.
Yeah.
So, a long winded way of saying you're always manifesting with money.
You're
When
always
you,
manifesting with everything in
with
life
everything,
because
yes.
every single thing in your life starts with what you think. You can't take an action. You can't have an idea or have like an opportunity without first having a thought or
Yeah,
belief. It's
right.
literally step one.
And I think that's why money is so tricky, is because, I've been there where like every time you pay your bills, ah, crap, I'm cleaning out the account, right?
hmm
And if you have that mentality and you're paying bills with that mentality, that is the outcome that you are attracting. Every time you go to pay your bills, it's going to clean out the account. You're paycheck to paycheck because that's what you believe and that's what you continue to manifest because your thoughts, your feelings, everything is validating that scenario.
And then you're taking action based upon that thought.
Right.
Meaning, I mean, it can be in so many ways. You believe that you can't, live more than paycheck to paycheck. Well, that means you stay in the job you're in
Yep.
instead of, asking for more money, asking for a promotion, instead of
Looking for other jobs
getting a
or
new education.
making a side gig.
There, right. So
Yeah.
there's opportunity, but because of your that belief, you
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
open yourself up to the opportunity. And that's what I mean by like it starts with the thought.
Right. And that's something we'll get into later because that's a really important point. So I think we got a whole talking section on that.
Okay.
Um yeah, so whether you realize it or not, you're always manifesting everything, but especially with money and anything having to do with money. Like when you go to a coffee shop, are you, oh, it's so expensive for coffee? Are you refusing to tip because it's already expensive enough? You know, every little thing that you buy, it's triggering some sort of belief or response from you in terms of how you look at money. So, as always, have some awareness into that in every purchase that you make. What are you thinking about? Was that
Right.
an easy purchase? Was there friction there? Or, was it fine? Was it comfortable? Um, so questions to ask yourself about money. So a lot of this is um, stuff Kate and I have done. A lot of this we have worked with a wealth coach in the past. We took like a wealth coach course, and so this really is stuff that helps you rewrite your money story, start to change your relationship with money. And I think that this is huge because I think we shared this before, but when we started consulting, we were only making about $1,000 a month. And we used this and we used different affirmations and techniques and worked on our relationship with money until we reached 30,000 a month. And we did really well with that. And then, we decided it was time to pivot, start all over, and that's fine. But this stuff works and it's really important, especially in terms of, I'm blabbering, but especially in terms of, building something of significance in your life.
You can't rebuild your relationship with money and, you know, tr- attempt to create something new without becoming aware of where you're at currently
Yeah.
and understand like where those beliefs came from and how you can start to literally rewire them. They're all subconscious
Right.
based on how you grew up, based on what you heard from your parents growing up. If you're turning on the news, all you hear is there's no money, this is inflation, blah,
The
blah,
jobs. Yeah.
whatever. So I just want to like share these few questions and honestly recommend that you take a moment to journal on these questions
Yeah.
because they're really a helpful starting point. So I just wanted to share these before we talked a little bit further.
Yeah. And some of these are from our wealth coach. So I think definitely like take a minute, sit down, journal on these because these are very important in terms of you reshaping your money story.
Yeah. So what were your first memories of money? Was it, your first allowance or being gifted money or the first time you spent your own money on something as a child, or maybe it was hearing your parents talk about money. Like, what were the first memories that you have that you can like go back and think about?
I think mine was actually my parents bought a house and we were house poor.
Mm.
And I remember like going to Dunkin' Donuts or something and they were like, we got to be careful. And
And
it's like
that's,
that affects you.
yeah. Whose money story do you feel impacted you the most? Like your parents or friends or relatives? Like everybody has just a story
Yeah.
about how money shaped their lives and what they had to do to earn that money. So when you think about that, whose story really pops into your mind and what are the beliefs behind that?
Yeah. And you'll often find that those beliefs are the beliefs that you're operating by.
Yeah. How does this story keep you held back from earning more money, from the belief that you can earn more money? I'll tell you, one of my biggest ones is just seeing how my dad worked extremely hard. We never really had it.
Still does.
Yes. But, my mom stayed at home with us until I was like 12. And so me and my brother and sister. And so my dad was the sole working parent. And so he worked a lot. And so I think my brain, when I was younger, said, you have to work really, really hard, be really, really stressed in order to have money.
Yeah.
Like I combined the two. And that was like really my earliest memory. And that was something that I believed. And it was so true in the way that my first job became exactly that. My first
Yeah.
and second job.
You
It was
associated work with stress.
hard work and stress is the only way to get money.
Mm,
That's like what I kind of
yeah.
made my reality, my beliefs.
Yeah.
Um, I think I had another question.
Yeah.
What beliefs do you carry around money? So you might have some of them come up when you ask those first few questions, but do you think it's easy to get? Do you think it's difficult to get money? Do you struggle to feel like you ever have enough? Are you trying to constantly like hold on to it and not spend it?
Mm. I think that's
Um,
a good one too because I think everybody there's this huge discussion of like does saving get you rich? Or like is that $5 coffee really going to be like, a big difference 6 months from now? And I personally don't believe it is. I think I read Ryan Pineda's book. He talked about it was called The Wealthy Way and he had this idea in there of the difference between savers and earners.
mm,
And savers think that I have to cut back to have more saved. Earners look for the opportunity. How can I make an extra 100 a month? How can I make an extra 500 a month? And that perspective is a world of difference in
yeah,
people. Personally, I don't believe that cutting back your budget and saving and maybe cutting out a coffee or a restaurant here and there that's not creating substantial lifestyle change. lifestyle change is coming from you seizing opportunities that arise in your life.
Yeah. And, this isn't to say like the very reality of there is inflation going on and
Right. Right.
people's lives. No, I just want to like mention it because people's lives have changed with just the everything has become more expensive and
Mm-hmm.
CEOs are greedy and
Yeah.
taking more money and whatever. And people are having a harder time with rent or with buying a house. And that is all true. But what is also true is that people are still finding ways to buy their houses.
Yeah.
Even in this like crazy market, people, you're still affording your groceries and paying for vacations, like doing all these things. And that again is proof that those people believe
Yeah.
in their ability to have money to do these things. And if you keep telling yourself, I don't have money to do these things, I don't have money, I can't afford. If that's what you keep telling yourself, then yes, that is what your reality is because that is your belief.
Yeah. So I want to clarify too, because I think this is where people get caught up of like, we're not saying, like, if say you are living paycheck to paycheck right now, right? And we've been there, we've done that. If you're paying your bills and going, oh crap, like it's all gone, right? That's not the place to be. Instead, you lead with gratitude. So instead of leading with fear and scarcity, you lead with gratitude of like, thank God I was able to pay that bill. I'm grateful for the resources I do have. We've seen some wealth coaches that say every time you pay a bill or every time you buy something, say, thank God I'm rich. And it's about you doing that, getting the repetition enough over and over and over until you start to believe that and you start to feel that. And when you reach that point in your physical reality, your external circumstances catch up. And that was literally exactly what Kate and I did when we were making $1,000 a month. I'm so happy and grateful to be making 10,000, 25,000, 30,000. And we did that and practiced that and journaled on it and meditated on it and spent time in it, feeling those emotions and what it would mean for our lives and how it felt. And we did that until our external reality caught up and we manifested it.
Yeah. And you have to start with what's believable. So if
Right.
you are not currently making $10,000 a month and you that feels unrealistic to you, it's going to be hard to like really connect with that.
Yeah.
So connect with something that feels more realistic. I'm so grateful that I'm able to, spend this money every month or that I'm earning an extra $500 a month. Like start with what's believable to you because that will feel
Yeah.
realistic.
You want it to be challenging, but not unrealistic to you. It should be something that feels a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit of friction because this is, dealing with your nervous system and your beliefs and you're stepping outside your comfort zone. But it shouldn't be so far fetched that you just can't possibly fathom, it happening. Um, and I think a big thing here is, abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset. We do have an episode on that coming in the next few months. So keep an eye out for that. We'll kind of dive a little deeper into what that actually means and how that plays a role in your money mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that this might end up being like a part 1
I
because I
know
knew we would just start to like get into some of it.
money is so interesting to me and it's hard for me to even like talk about because I've come so far and I don't feel like an expert at all, but I definitely have, things that have helped and share value. Last thing I want to mention, I saw another wealth coach who said, I only make 1.5 million a month. He was actually making 1.5 million a month.
Mhm.
And his point was that when you set the limit like that and you say only, you change your perception. You don't see that as a lot of money.
Right.
And you start to really change your relationship with money. For me personally, the biggest change was trading because I was able to see how I could make $3,000 in a day and how that 3,000 could become 25,000 and it's just in the blink of an eye. So I think the biggest starting point here is make sure you work on your relationship with money in the sense of not finding it hard to get. There is so much opportunity. There has never been more opportunity in the world. There are 12-year-old kids on YouTube reviewing toys making millions.
I wish I started back then.
So You
It
can
doesn't mean you
literally,
can't start now, though.
right, you can make money doing anything, but start there. Money is not scarce. There is plenty of opportunity. There is plenty of money. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. He is a big believer in the philosophy that there is too much money. There's too much money in the world. And when you also think about the fact that the Fed is constantly printing it, there's no shortage.
Yeah.
So consider your awareness piece there.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about back to basics.
Yeah.
Few random thoughts to consider when you're thinking about like your mindset.
So my absolute favorite one, and we say this to each other all the time, and we have friends that say this,
Mm-hmm.
it is all entirely made up. Money is just pure fiction. I mean, the only reason money is because we as a society have collectively agreed on the value of it.
Yeah.
It's just made up. They're pieces of paper, they're little numbers in a bank account. The bank's loaning out 10 times as much. Like it's all made up. None of it exists. It's all fake.
Right.
It's just one big game, and you can choose to play the game.
Yeah.
I will also say, and this is something we didn't write in there, but when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said, when you want to play the money game, the game is this: who is indebted to whom? We all take loans from banks. Private investors loan to businesses, private equity. It's one big game of who are you borrowing from and who do you owe to and who is paying me. And so his point is put yourself in a position to where someone owes you. And that's a whole different ball game, but
Hmm.
it's just some perspective on the money game.
Interesting. Yeah. And then we were talking about, I already mentioned like there is a lot that society does that makes us not believe that it is possible to have more money, makes us all think that we're gonna forever be in trouble and you're not gonna be able to buy a house or afford this or whatever it is. Because if you turn on the news, like it's literally being programmed
Yeah.
into your brain to believe that this is the reality and that it's not true that you could actually do better than what the world is seeing right now in terms of like financial abundance.
I mean, you turn on the news and you'll see something about how, jobs reports are down, unemployment's up, inflation's up, the housing market crashing. Nobody want like it's all just programming. And that's not to say that like things aren't changing. Our world is absolutely changing, but that doesn't mean that it now has to be this very difficult game to play because ultimately what makes the game difficult or easy is your mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
And it really comes down to how you're approaching that because what's on the news is just programming. That's why they call it television or scheduled programming.
So if you just keep listening to that and believing that, again, like you take action based on your beliefs.
Yeah.
So if you're scared, if you're living in that fear and scarcity mindset, all of your actions, all of your thoughts are going to continue to be based off of that fear.
Yeah. And this is a larger discussion of higher consciousness, right? Like like you and I, we don't go to an office or a 9 to 5 job and get the health benefits and do all that. And that really becomes a discussion of like when you're watching the programming, you're accepting the scarcity, you're leading with fear, you're a drone. These corporations benefit from having more drones. If you like the 9 to 5 and you're aware of that, that's totally fine. Great. Good for you. However, there is a very clear structure in place where the more drones they have, the more they can feed the CEO. Like and it really comes down to what programming you're accepting, what beliefs you are taking on as your own in your own life.
Our wind chimes are playing. I
Oh,
forgot
I
to
forgot
take
to
them
take
down, but it's not that windy and they sound quite lovely, so
enjoy some background music.
yeah.
So this kind of takes us to the holistic side of this, which I think the holistic side of money is absolutely fascinating.
Mhm.
And I think it's a side that even these wealth coaches a lot of times miss. Um, the number one thing being anything in your life is a flow of energy, right? Like a relationship with someone is a flow of energy, a career is a flow of energy. anything is a flow of energy, and money is just one more channel. So holistically, like something you might do with affirmations with money is I release any blockages between us. And those blockages are your beliefs. You have limiting beliefs around your ability to acquire and generate money. Um, so holistically, money is just one more channel of energy. And in order to open that channel, you have to look at what are the blocks in that channel? What is holding you back from opening that channel? Um, I read The Soul of Money. And in that book, the author talks about using your money and your resources for things that feel meaningful. Um, Buying clothes that are, made with recyclable materials or something like that, right? Rather than supporting companies who use sweatshops and things like that. And it's really just about getting super intentional with your money, with how you spend it, how you feel about spending it, but also looking at what holds you back from acquiring more.
Yeah. Um, Sorry, my notes went away.
It's okay.
And then you talked about it already, but like energy, the energy of money, there's a frequency there.
Mm,
And we got a lot into this in our manifestation episode as well. But your belief in I have an abundance mindset, I can receive, I can make more money.
yeah.
That's like an energy that you are putting out into the world, and like attracts like.
Yeah.
So your belief I can have more money will bring more money to you. That doesn't mean it's going to be dropped on your doorstep, but that means there will be an opportunity for you to get more money.
It means energetically you are where you need to be to receive. And that's the important piece of attuning your frequency to the frequency of money. And that's what like a holistic or spiritual wealth coach talks about is you are attuning your body, your frequency, your thoughts, your behaviors, your beliefs to the actual frequency of money. And I think an important topic here is all those limiting beliefs around money. Good people don't have money. Good people don't save money. Um, Money is greed. Money is the root of all evil. Um, you can absolutely love money and be a great person.
Yeah, that's a
That's
big
important.
one.
Yeah.
That's one that like the wealth coach that we've worked with has talked about before, and she's been someone who was at literal rock bottom with
Yeah.
no like $4 to her bank account or something, and she now makes like $500,000 a month.
Mm.
But one of her big beliefs was like she said that one time someone told her like you could be a millionaire, and she was like ugh,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she literally had the mindset of like someone that has that much money is not a good person. Is
Yep.
So if you are making that connection and seeing like someone with that much money as a bad person, then
Yep.
you're never going to want to even start to like go towards that.
Right. You'll hold yourself back from becoming that version of yourself.
But that doesn't have to be true.
Right.
Just
Right.
because again, that's what you hear in the news is
Mm.
this person is a bad
Well,
person or
that's a larger discussion. The economy is created for businesses to play games and, manipulate taxes, but I I don't necessarily disagree with it because it's about how you support the economy and how you create opportunity. Um, so larger discussion, but
yeah, but the reality that every person who is very wealthy is a bad person.
yeah, yeah, that's
That's
not
that's what's kind of more so projected and
right,
we're told to believe.
right.
And it's not everybody. Like
And
it's just not.
that's what I'm saying. Like there's a mainstream narrative of if you're rich or you're a billionaire or you're one of these, stock guys, you have too much money and you're a bad person. Your yacht makes you a bad person. Your private jet makes you a bad person. That's not reality. Um, but I think another very important piece here, and this is something that in every money book I've read and all the wealth coaches we've seen, learned from, worked with, always talk about this, and that's the energy of giving and receiving. Um, and this really gets into, that channel, right? Because that channel and opening that flow of energy is a two-way street. You can't just take, take, take. And so the discussion there is in order to, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he says, in order to keep your wealth, you have to also be giving it. And this is something that like the major players understand, and controversial figures like Bill Gates, who I'm not a fan of, but the man donates tons of money to charity. He plays games, he owns some of those charities, but you a lot of these guys, Jeff Bezos, like a lot of these very wealthy millionaire, billionaire guys, there is always a portion that is allocated to giving. And there's an understanding in those circles, like you need to give in order to keep your wealth. That's part of putting your money out there and using your resources and giving to others, creating opportunity for others. And that is how you continue to attract. Um, I think that there's some really good points in here. Ryan Pineda talks about this. He says, you have to learn how to flex that muscle of giving. A lot of people think, oh, I don't make enough to give. But what is that? That's scarcity. And so you're leading with fear. And so the discussion there is you have to get practice giving with where you're at now. And if that means that all you're able to do is, tip $1 when you go get coffee, tip $1 and start that. And his discussion, his point is people say that, but then they make money and they still don't give. Having the money doesn't magically make you give because that's a skill that you haven't been working on.
Yeah.
And so you start with where you're at. We've had times where financially we couldn't give. And so we gave clothing, we gave plates, things in our house, right? Like things that we weren't using anymore. And you start where you are with what you are able to give and you practice giving so that when you're where you want to be, you have that skill and you're able to incorporate that as a part of it. You next time you see somebody on Facebook who has a GoFundMe, go donate 25 bucks, $5, whatever you have. I think I've shared this before. I had one where my brother's friend, he had 3 babies. They did IVF and
They got
yeah,
triplets,
they
right?
got triplets and they were kind of like, whoa. And he asked on Facebook, he was like, I hate to do this, but like, can anybody send me some money for diapers? I had $15 in my bank account and I gave him like 13, I had like 17 and I gave him 15. And it was like, that was what I had. And I felt like I'm going to get more back. I'm not worried about that. I'm not donating to get back. I'm donating because I have the means to help someone and I want to.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. And then um random fun fact, but like a lot of music artists like listen to a lot of rap, pop. They all say this. It's like if I spend it, I'll get it back double. That is a money mindset.
Right.
That is manifestation, that is belief, that is them believing that no matter what they make or spend, it's coming right back and they're going to make more.
Yeah. And when you're like giving in that way, and it's not like, and it's something that you can feel good about, like I'm using my money for good,
Mm,
that's still opening you up to more, like to receiving more, rather than like I'm spending it on something that doesn't even feel good and it doesn't feel worth it to me and it feels like wasteful. That's a
yeah,
very different mindset to be in. That
right.
doesn't mean give to every GoFundMe you see, but like I've given to GoFundMes for like helping people's dogs that like I used to be friends with, or
Mhm.
I don't know, just other random things. Someone had like a house fire and I helped her, and it's not like I'm giving hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I'm giving an amount, but they all add up for that person. So
Yeah.
why not?
And I think that's important too. I think people have this idea of like, I'm not able to change that person's life. I'm not giving $50,000 and changing your life overnight, but energetically, you're putting good toward that person. And when I started japa meditation, my initial mantra was I won't get into the whole thing, but it's about being a part of the greater good, choosing thoughts and actions that help others feel happy and free. And when you live your life by that mantra, you will feel much better.
Yeah,
Anything else?
definitely could get into it more, but
That felt great. I feel like we shared so much.
yeah. We're gonna do an episode soon on abundance and scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
So we'll be going over some of this a little bit more. But yeah, just really start to think about like what your relationship with money is. And if I can offer one like kind of tangible tip. Every time you buy something or pay a bill, try to say like I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
It's so simple, and just like be grateful and thankful that you have the resources to purchase this thing, to pay that bill, whatever it is. It's a really important step to start, because if you're continuously just like, "Oh, I have to pay this bill." That is like you're going to continue to be in that cycle until you can switch that mindset
Yeah. I mean, the only way you break the cycle is with your self talk. You got to pay attention to what you're doing, what you're saying to yourself.
and what you believe.
Yeah. So I think kind of a good time to say, number one, go back, rewind, take a look at those questions Kate shared and journal on them. Spend some time on them. Take a look at your money story and what you believe. Um, Number two, this is kind of a interesting sprint of episodes we're doing right now. We're getting married. We're going on the honeymoon. Our money story is going through a massive transformation right now too. I'm getting trading up off the ground. You've got programs and all kinds of like fun new stuff. So I think we're talking a lot now about, money. We've got episodes coming up on gratitude and how to really practice that, especially as you're spending money. Scarcity mindset, abundance mindset, and then we're gonna do
And
an
like life transition.
yeah, we're gonna do an episode on life transitions, and that really, these next month and a half of episodes of our episodes, because you have live coaching too, but
Mhm.
of our episodes, they really go together, and they go together in a really important way in terms of how you move forward in your life, especially for people who want to break the cycle that they're in.
Yeah, and if you wanna hear, there's 2 episodes that I did, live coaching episodes on, that revolve around money, and
Yeah,
I helped them to really dig into like, well, what are the beliefs you have?
yeah,
And it's about starting to shift that perspective. It's a process. It's not something that you're going to do in a day.
right,
So start taking steps towards that and believe that it's possible.
yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.